All right, the Colorado Avalanche end 2022 on a down note. A tough game against the Toronto Maple Leafs. They lose it 6-2. So we will discuss that, as well as now that we are in a new year, a new month, we'll talk about the January schedule for the Colorado Avalanche. In 2022, it was a very good January. Can we have that again? Maybe, if you look at some of these matchups. Another episode of Locked On Avalanche coming at you.
Your Locked On Avalanche, your daily podcast on the Colorado Avalanche. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, happy new year to everybody out there in Locked On Avalanche land. Welcome to the Locked On Avalanche podcast. We are part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thank you for making this your first listen of the day. That's always appreciated. Follow us on our social media outlets, LOPN_Avalanche on Twitter, Locked On Avalanche on Instagram. Questions, comments, concerns, and opinions to lockedonavalanche@gmail.com. And follow us on our YouTube channel over on YouTube. Hit subscribe. Get notified when a new show goes live. Did you make it to midnight?
Actually, I did.
Really? I got about an hour away, and I was like, I'd rather get that extra hour of sleep than stay up, because it's like the All-Star game. I don't care about New Year. It's not a big deal to me.
I got home from doing radio about 30 minutes before, and I was like, oh, why not?
Might as well just stay up, right?
And then stayed up the extra hour for Alabama New Year's. So,
oh, okay. So you stayed up extra too. Wow. Impressive, sir. Impressive. In our old age, it's a little bit more difficult to do. I'm a lot older. Not a lot older than you. I'm older than you, but I won't put you in my demographic yet. All right, everyone. So yeah, the Avalanche with the 6-2 loss to Toronto. We'll get to the schedule a little bit later, and the game tonight against Vegas. It's the last time they're wearing the reverse retros. What's up with that? So we'll talk about that. Maybe we'll see. But yeah, we're going to start obviously with the Toronto game. Tough. They're a good team. You know what I mean? And I don't want to put this all on the Avalanche. And, a lot of it is that's a darn good team in the East. And I know everybody wants to hang on like, oh, they've lost 5 or 6 years in a row in the first round. And, that doesn't mean anything. Sure, it means something, but come playoff time, that's a good team. You're going to have to deal with them. This is an Avalanche show. We'll focus on the Avalanche stuff. And they fought back a couple times, and they were there just when you thought it was going to get really out of hand early on. They'd score a goal, and they got one back in the first, and then they got down again, and they scored another goal to make it 3-2. And they were so close. They had a really good chance from Malgin, who had a really good look, and he sailed it wide. And then what happened maybe a minute and a half later, Toronto rattles off 2 goals. And that just seemed like, all right, that's the nail in the coffin. So overall thoughts on the game.
It was one of those that you kind of wish Nathan MacKinnon returned the game before. Felt like
he had like a little bit more going.
Yeah, a little bit more juice, a little bit more time on the ice. It honestly felt, it's been, we're talking about 2023 being a new year. It's been forever since we've been able to talk about the Avalanche facing a superior opponent.
It's true.
And this is what it felt like. The Avalanche, this is what it feels like when you are outclassed everywhere. You go down the stats, they won everything.
Yeah.
And they played a cleaner game, and the Avalanche just honestly couldn't keep up with it. And it's the first time we had to pull the goalie. That should tell you something with how the tables have turned on where the Avalanche are sitting going into 2023.
Yeah, you have Nathan MacKinnon returning. You're at home, so obviously the crowd is going to. And the first time he touched the puck, it was audibly heard like through the television, like, oh, here he goes. Like, it didn't really do much with it, but the crowd was just electric to just finally have him back. But then it kind of settled into what we've been seeing with the Avalanche in these first periods, and they just get out of the gate kind of slow. And you can't do that against any team. You can't do that against, like you said, man, a superior team. And they are right now. Toronto is one of the better teams in the entire NHL. So you're going to have to be on your game. And if you have those mistakes, and I'm not saying the Malgin shot was a mistake, it's just a missed opportunity. When you have those missed opportunities, look what Toronto did. And then Malgin went from, could have been, I don't want to say a hero. He just could have been, a guy who had a big moment in tying this game, really a game the Avalanche had no business being in, but they're hanging around and anything's possible in an NHL game. 2 seconds later, throwing a blind pass behind him, which turned into an easy goal for the Maple Leafs. And it was Matthews who scored that goal. He's going to score that 100 times out of 100.
And usually Matthews against the Avalanche always ends up scoring off a turnover. He always finds that way of getting that highlight goal off a turnover and really just doubling down on making you feel bad about that goal.
Right. I always try to we have that graphic that we put up for the lines. And it goes up minutes before puck drop because, that's when they're released and the Avalanche will release them. So I kind of try to guess to where everybody is. And I did not have Alex Newhook being the fourth line center to start this game. And I don't know what to make of. Well, I do know what I should make out of it. I don't know how much of a big deal I should make out of that. Because, what do you have for time on ice? Let me check here. He ended up having 14 minutes and 13 seconds of ice time. Now, a lot of that, I don't want to say a lot of it happened, but maybe a good chunk of that is, the game was relatively over. So, you're not going to, when it's 6-2, even 5-2, 6-2, well, it was 6-2. They got the 6 on the empty netter. But, you're going to roll out lines maybe more consistently. You're just not going to put everything on your top line. You're still going to put them out there. But you might be more inclined to roll out top lines when it's kind of this much out of hand. So maybe he soaked up a lot of minutes then. But I was a little bit surprised to see him centering the fourth line. But at the other hand, I'm like, okay, now's your opportunity. You should be easily the best guy on the ice. When those lines are out there, and I'm not putting anything on him. It was just in totality, it was just a tough game. If you really want to go through lines, look at Rodriguez -3, McKinnon -3, Rantanen -3. So it's not. I'm not trying to rag on Newhook. I'm just going back to the original point. Was surprised to see him centering the fourth line.
I wasn't, and this is. Hold on, everybody. Do not start clacking away on your keyboards with the Newhook hating stuff. No.
Bang.
It's basic math, like Sesame Street stuff here. Nathan McKinnon, 1C. Then you have, honestly, performance-wise, JT Compher, 2C. Sure. Then Erod, 3C. Where else are you going to go, Newhook?
Well, I don't think. Let me see. Let me bring it up real quick because I don't think Erod was the 3C. I think he was. Unless I have that wrong. Let me see here. No. Yeah, because Erod was on the wing with Compher. They had Ben Myers as the 3C.
Again, the reason I point this out, it's performance. Even Ben Myers has looked so much better than Newhook. When it comes playing on those lines,
that's pretty crazy. That's pretty crazy. That Alex Newhook, who was supposed to be. You maybe kind of having this coming out party for this season for him. It cannot even take the 3C away from a guy who's played a handful of games. And that's pretty crazy.
During the losing streaks and everything that's been going on for the Avs, all we've been asking is for players to step up, and this is your time to shine in the absence of players like Nathan McKinnon and Myers and Erod and JT. They have done that. Here recently, they have been stepping up and filling those roles, and Newhook has just still been just kind of fluid and still finding his way. And this is a year and a half of him finding his way.
Yeah.
So
I'm not giving up. He's 21 years old. He's got a lot of growth still. And I know some people want to get rid of him. That's not the answer. You're not going to get rid of him, number one, because he's not playing up to his potential right now. So you're not going to get a lot in return. And what you get in return is probably not going to be what he could potentially become. And that's what it is right now. You have to deal with that stuff. He's 21.
Yeah.
Nathan McKinnon didn't come into his own until he was after that.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So, like, and I'm not saying he's turning into Nathan McKinnon. I'm just saying guys take time to mature. They're not going to give up on him.
Yeah, and it's not like they gave up on him. Like last year, they sent him down to the AHL to refine himself and to be prepared when he does make that jump. Like the fourth line doesn't mean it's doom and gloom.
Right.
They were trying to roll out 4 good lines. Granted, he had 14 minutes, but you work your way up.
Yeah. But a game like this, you know, we've been saying it for a long time. I'm not using it as excuses or anything with the injuries, but a game like the injuries that they had or have are glaring, especially on the defensive end with guys like Manson out and even Bo Byram. So we'll take our first break. We hear from Athletic Greens, and then we'll get into kind of more of these stats. And Kyle alluded to it in the beginning. Georgiev got pulled. That was the first yank of the season for the Avalanche. So we'll talk about that. How much of it was on him? But first, we have Athletic Greens. We haven't had Athletic Greens around in a while, but there is that beautiful green coffee canister-like container that holds that delicious Athletic Greens. Kyle's modeling it for you now over on YouTube. And what is it? It's one delicious scoop of Athletic Greens in your morning water, and you are absorbing 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, whole food sourced superfoods, probiotics, and adaptogens to help you start your day right. The special blend of ingredients supports your gut health, your nervous system, your immune system, your energy, your recovery, your focus, your aging, everything that is important to you. It smells glorious.
I really love this stuff.
And we always say all the time, it has that like yucky green, like pureed grassy look, but the stuff is delicious. It's really more fruity than
I put it in my coffee.
You do? Yeah,
I do.
Maybe put it in your brownies too. That might be something you want to do. There you go. Athletic Greens was created when the founder experienced a ton of gut health issues, and he ended up on a complicated supplement routine to recover, which cost him over $100 a day. This costs you less than $3 a day, and you're investing in your health, and it's cheaper than your coffee and Dunkin' and Starbucks habit. It's cheaper than getting all of the different supplements yourself, and you're investing in an all-in-one nutritional insurance. So right now is time to reclaim your health and arm your immune system with a convenient daily nutrition. It's just one scoop in a cup of water every day, and that is it. No need for a million different pills and supplements to look out for your health. And to make it easy, Athletic Greens is going to give you a free 1-year supply of immune-supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. All you have to do is visit athleticgreens.com/NHL Network. Once again, athleticgreens.com/NHL Network to take ownership over your health and pick up the ultimate daily nutritional insurance. All right, so getting back to the game against Toronto, and Alexandar Georgiev was pulled in the second, and it kind of just had to be done. At that point, you're kind of just trying to do anything to get the team going, to rally around something. Jonas Johansson comes in, doesn't give up anything. I mean, like I said, the last goal that they got was the open net, so it doesn't really count against him. But it didn't turn into anything for the Avalanche. And I don't put all of this on Georgiev. Like the one goal that I said that Matthews had, nobody's going to stop that. He's by himself. He's got all the ice in the world. It was on a bad turnover. Nobody's going to stop that. So that's not on it. It's just one of those games where it needed to happen. Didn't result in anything for the Avalanche. And maybe, I try to kind of try to find positives in all this stuff. Maybe that's something like if you're a professional athlete and that happens to you, there's some embarrassment there, even though it's not all on Georgiev. So I really look forward to, I'm assuming he's going to play against Vegas.
Yeah.
I really look forward to how he's going to follow that up. How does an athlete follow up a performance where they don't play their best, and in this case get pulled? really speaks to the character of that player. So I'm really looking forward to see how he plays against Vegas.
It's funny that you ended that with saying you're looking forward to seeing how he plays against Vegas. And how does an athlete come back from something like that? Well, we just got done talking about Alex Newhook at the fourth line center position.
Yeah.
It's basically the same. On it, and it's not all Georgiev's fault. You heard Bednar's comments the other day. Like, the forwards aren't helping out on defense. And the defense is not playing their best defense. Cale Makar included. Like, I know we like to throw it out like Sammy G, let's chase him, like run him out of Denver.
Him out of town.
Cale hasn't played great. Taser hasn't played great. It's not been a good defensive effort. And now we're making Josh Manson feel like Darren Helm with the anticipation of his return. Like, it's not been a great effort. We have not been helping out the goalie. It's not all on him, but in that moment you pull up, and guess what? JoJo didn't look bad.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna.
I'm not about to say, have we been sleeping on JoJo this whole time and let him have the 1A? No, he did what he was supposed to do, and I feel like the team kind of responded to that. You saw a different tempo and tenor to the team in their play when they pulled Georgiev, where they kind of know, hey, we're really messing up here. We have to tighten up. And it's one of those, you go back to the locker room and you just tell them, hey, this is on us. This is us. This isn't a you thing. And then you rectify that against Vegas.
Right. And, when a goalie gets pulled, if it's anything other than like the first period, when a goalie has one of those games where it's like he's giving up 4 goals on 5 shots and they pull him right out. This was, I think the second was almost done when Georgiev got pulled. The reason for is, they're just scoring left and right on him. Yeah. So the team, I'm not saying Toronto kind of lets their foot off the gas, but they don't need to press to get, just more goals in. So it's usually like the second goalie looks a little bit better just because the game has changed by then. They don't have to keep forcing the issue. And if they wanted to, they could have. Yeah. They easily could have probably scored 10 goals in this game if they wanted to. And so, but he came in and did what he was supposed to do, though. Yes. Like he kept it at 5 to give the Avalanche a puncher's chance, which, obviously didn't happen, but he did what he was supposed to do. So good for him.
Like, I think that was 5 goals on 21 shots when he was finally pulled. And it wasn't necessarily like, I'm pretty sure one of those things that if the team's not performing and helping you out, why am I going to let my only goalie I have right now with Pavel Francouz being hurt?
Yeah.
Why am I going to let him get shelled knowing I have Vegas coming up? It's a lost cause to this point. The forwards and the defense are not helping my goalie right now. I'm going to pull him, just say, hey, take the rest of the night, get ready for Vegas, and let them try and bail themselves out. It's a 5 out of 21 shots is a pedestrian goalie output, especially with how scoring is right now in the NHL. So it's not all on him. So let's not start are we in trouble in net too? No, let's not go there yet.
It's just by the time everything gets to him, it's gone through all of the levels, which usually are solid for the Avalanche, and they're not. I'm not going to sit here and say it's horrible and horrific. It's just not as good. It's not to the Avalanche level.
Yeah.
And the Avalanche play this game with their goalies. Like, they don't go after the name, the highly sought after goalie that can steal you those games. Georgiev has so far this year. He's looked good overall. But when you have a goalie who's not as established, you're going to have games like this when everybody else in front of him is not at their normal level. And that's what's happening for the Avalanche right now. And you mentioned Cale Makar and Taves. Like, I think they're playing okay, but again, like, they are not playing to defensively. Yeah. They're not playing to the level. I don't think you'll ever have a problem with Cale Makar on offensively.
Yeah,
he's always looking to create offensively, and he's given it his best on defense. He kind of mixed it up with Mitch Marner that one time. I thought they were going to go at it. and Marner's not going to do that, especially when he's up. But that shows you the frustration right now. Like normally, Cale Makar would go check him. The puck kind of scooted out. Makar would go follow the play. He hung back and kind of just kept giving Marner like elbows or however they were trying to mix it up. I don't think he was trying to force Marner to drop gloves, but I think it was just like, you're in front of me. I'm frustrated. The puck is nowhere near me. I'm still going to like give you, a once over. Yeah. And that just kind of speaks to how things are going right now for the Avalanche.
Yeah. I don't like for us to say the defense is bad and then talk about EJ and Sammy G until we're blue in the face. You mentioned in the first segment, Mikko and Nate were -3. Who's the defensive pairing for that line?
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, things rotate, but you got Taze and Makar, and Makar was a -2.
So we're not ruining Cale Makar by saying, hey, you didn't have the greatest night. And he has had moments where things haven't been great. And we know the defense can be better. We know everyone from the top down. It's a whole thing. It's not just an individual player. The defense needs to step up. The offense needs to help out the defense. This is a whole team thing. This is not an individual player that you could sit here and harp on.
No. And, like you're saying, a lot of people are jumping on that Girard and EJ line or pairing. I believe Eric Johnson led them in shots on goal.
Nope.
Which is not what you want to see.
Don't want to hear it.
It's not really how you want your offensive production to go. But that to me, it shows that, okay, like that pairing knew the previous game they were not good.
Yeah.
So at least they're trying to create a little bit more on the offensive end, which he's not known for. He's not known for his offensive ability. No, it's not one thing. I know people like to point to one thing when it comes to the Avalanche and in particular the defense. And I'm not going there because it's not that. It's not that you get rid of that one guy in Sam Girard and all of a sudden miraculously everybody's better. No, does not work that way. So all right, I want to get to just figure out where are we here? Just the stats for this game, and then we'll get into the schedule for the Avalanche in January. So shots on goal, the Avalanche were right there. It was 32-28 in favor of the Maple Leafs. Faceoffs were a struggle again, 59% to 41% in favor of the Maple Leafs. The power plays, the Maple Leafs were 1 for 4, but good Lord, did they look good on the power play. And that was killing the Avalanche. They had some momentum after the end of the first. They did. They got that goal back, and then that kind of carried them into the first intermission. They came out like, all right, we're only down 1. And then I think it was Ben Myers who got a slashing penalty like seconds into the second, and that's the one they scored on. And that just crushes you. Absolutely crushes you. That's the last thing that they needed to have happen to start that second. And then, they get the one back, but they just couldn't stay out of the penalty box. And it hurt them. It hurt them immensely. And they were not getting calls on the other side. Nathan McKinnon got slashed. No call. There was a trip. They did call one trip, but there was another one that was in the corner. I think it was Rodriguez, or maybe Rodriguez was the one where they did call it. There was somebody else that got tripped and they didn't call that. This is not a ref thing. The Avalanche were not going to win that game no matter what, if they got all of those calls that the refs missed. But it's just two teams. I don't want to sit here and say there's two teams going in opposite directions. But it's one team who is just on a highway going 15 miles over the speed limit, and the other one is getting off every single exit.
The Avs could have been perfect on the power play and still lost by 1.
Yeah, there you go. All right, let's get to the schedule for the Avalanche for the month of January. And I know we like to do this and hang on. What happened last year can happen again this year because that's the way things go. And the Avalanche January of 2022 was one of their best ever.
Yeah.
One loss, and that one loss was, I'm still not over that because it was a bogus too many men on the ice on overtime against Nashville, which ended up losing them the game. So that was their only loss in January. You look at this month's schedule, it's a little bit more forgiving than December. December was tough. December was basically a game every other day with the exception of the Christmas break. And I think they had a 2-day break early in the month too, if I'm not mistaken. For this, not only do you get a couple extra days off, which is always nice, but the opponents, I'm going to sit here and say they're winnable, and people are going to be like, well, the Avalanche can't get out of their own way. I get that. Maybe you get some guys back this month. Gabe Landeskog maybe later on in the month now, not going to be the middle of the month, we don't think. So maybe he's back at the end of the month, but, you know, Manson could be back. Helm seems like he's right around the corner. So maybe you're going to be getting a more healthy roster as you go through this month of January. So here we go. So you're playing tonight at home against Vegas, and then you finish this week on the road. You're playing Vancouver, and then you're at Vancouver, then at Edmonton, and then you come home. Then week 2, you're playing home against Florida, and then away against Chicago, and then at home against Ottawa. In the third week, that's your only week with 4 games. You're at home against Detroit, and then the next 3 are on the road against Calgary, Vancouver again, and then the very next day. So you got a back-to-back with Vancouver and then at Seattle. And then in the fourth week, all those games are at home, 3 games at home. Washington, Anaheim, and St. Louis. So there's some winnable games here this month for the Avs. This should be and could be a month where they kind of get back on track.
If you look at this month with the game tonight, you have walk out of Ball Arena with a W. You can set the tone for the rest of the month. You have a lot of runway to prove yourself this month. There are no excuses for the rest of these games. Like Vancouver, that's a winnable game.
Twice.
Edmonton, Chicago. Like, yes, Edmonton's a winnable game, by the way. Like, I know Connor McDavid and all that, but that's a beatable team.
They are. I just don't like that it's in Edmonton. They struggle in Edmonton, but
you run out of a lot of excuses. You don't have to have your Torontos come in, your Bostons, yes, Florida looks scary, but they have not been playing scary lately.
Well. Yeah.
So there's not a lot of excuses for why things went wrong when it comes to the Avalanche and winning games. This is put it together, get back to what you do, and you could really start climbing the standings. There's a couple central opponents in here. You could really start making up some ground that you lost in the past 2 months.
There's only a couple. Let's see. St. Louis and Chicago. That's it for your division games. So that's tough. Okay. You want a few more division games in there, especially when you're not in the position the Avalanche want to be in right now. But I'm looking at like the records quickly for most of these teams that they're playing. Where's Washington right now? Okay, the Capitals, they're on a pretty good run, the Capitals are. So the Capitals over 500, Detroit is over 500. Vegas is, let's see, so Vancouver's not. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. St. Louis is exactly at 500 right now. So what's in Florida?
What is it? I'm trying to get Florida's record right now, but it's winnable teams. Like you lose the excuses of the quality opponents, like
right,
and the potential Stanley Cup opponent. Like you don't have those games. You have winnable statement type games for the Avalanche on the road and at home. You could go steal one on the road, win one at home, carry, put some streaks together, and get right back in the thick of things.
Yeah, that's what I don't know when I froze up, but I was saying like half of these games, just real quickly looking at that, are against teams below 500. So it could be a good month. And you only have one back-to-back. I don't think did the Avs have any back-to-backs in December? No, they haven't. So they haven't had back, and they had 2, I think, in November. If I'm going back quickly. No, just the one in November. So they haven't had a back-to-back in a while. And even they only have one back-to-back. But like I said, they have there's a lot of time in January where they have 2 days off in a row. So they should be rested. So a lot of these games, when they're playing them, they should be feeling pretty good. And they really shouldn't be have these like tired legs. And normally that's not something I would bring up, but the way that the Avalanche have been starting, it could be big. It could be big for them to get that extra day. And because December was brutal. December was a grind. And January is a little bit more easier. So, you know, you'll welcome an extra day rest. And who are you playing going into those extra days? Okay, so you have 2 days off after Vegas and you're playing Vancouver. 2 days off and then you're playing Florida. 2 days off, then you're playing Washington, which will be a good one. So, I don't know. I'm gonna, you know, follow this team and feel like they are going to be. All they got to do is make the playoffs. That's where I'm at right now with the Avalanche. I am at the spot of how Tampa has been over the past couple of years. Doesn't matter if you're the President's Trophy winner. Doesn't matter if you're number one in your division. All that much kind of matters a little bit. But I think we're at the stage for the Avalanche. Just get in the playoffs healthy. You have as much chance as you did last year. That's where I'm at. I can't hear you, so I don't know what happened to your mic, but you were nodding in agreement with me. So say something. I don't know. Let me see if we're. Nah, yeah, we're at the end anyway. So, oh, now you came back. No, you didn't. I don't know what's going on. Technical issues. Thank God it happened at the end of the episode. So. We'll wrap it up there. All right, everybody. Thank you for tuning in, making it your first listen of the day. That's always appreciated. And we'll be back tomorrow to discuss the Vegas Colorado matchup. Hopefully the Avalanche can get back in the win column. They definitely need 2 points bad. So he's Mr. Shaggy Von Doom, Kyle Sullivan. I am Chris Maselli. This is the Locked On Avalanche podcast. And we'll see you guys tomorrow. Hey.